And hi everybody, welcome back to Fresh Outlook. I'm TWB. Well, it's been 3 years since that devastating BP oil spill in the Gulf. Let's take a look.
This week marks 3 years since a deadly explosion on a BP-leased drilling rig led to 11 deaths and set off the worst environmental disaster in U.S. history, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Nearly 2 months ago, the U.S. government took British Petroleum to court on charges of negligence surrounding the spill. That case is still ongoing. Now, on the 3rd anniversary of the tragedy, Florida and Mississippi have joined a list of states, towns, and private citizens, each separately suing the energy giant for damages. The plaintiffs say they want compensation for the spill's catastrophic toll on the region, where many continue to suffer from health problems and the loss of vital industries like fishing and tourism. Lawyers for BP, however, deny the spill was the result of gross negligence and stress the company has already paid off a range of large claims. This includes $14 billion for cleanup and another $10 billion to those who did not join the current federal lawsuit against the corporation. While final court decisions are at least months away, the ultimate plight of the Gulf Coast remains uncertain. Experts say it could be years before the full impact of the BP oil spill is felt by the ecosystem and its people.
All right, so let's get into the conversation. I want to introduce another member to the panel. We should have ArtR joining us via Skype. He's the chairman of Operation People for Peace. There he is. Art, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Always.
Let's start with you. What's changed for the people of the Gulf Coast, do you think, since this trial has begun?
Well, since the trial begun, and really since the oil spill, there's really been about 3 issues. And those 3 things, since the spill, many businesses have closed their doors, waiting on their claims and their payments to be made. 2, BP has not paid the claimants, and they have a very complex method of paying claimants, particularly the disadvantaged and the disenfranchised. And 3rd, although some claims have been paid, there are thousands and thousands that are still suffering due to the process after 3 years of waiting for claims payments.
I have a feeling you're answering the next question. How do local residents feel the trial's going so far, do you think?
Well, I think that what I have heard, because we had a recent meeting last week, the community is very resilient. And what has happened is that it has allowed us to really join a lot of forces, particularly when we see the damages that have occurred in our water. We was able to organize more groups. We was able to organize more people concerned now about the environment, more people concerned about various businesses that are occurred in various places. And as you well know, there have been some disasters in other areas, such as Mayflower, Arkansas, Waco, Texas, and other. And all of this does is bond our community together closer and closer. And eventually it will be a time that we're going to have to prepare, not have these type businesses. And it's going to be devastating.
So Art, let me just interrupt you for a second. Whose side is the judge leaning towards at this point, do you think?
Well, I don't think that a federal judge leaned towards one side or the other. He only looked at the facts. And what has occurred, Judge Bobby A. has done an outstanding job. Basically, he's taken this situation. Very few judges wanted to deal with it. He's done a very outstanding job, and the courts have too, in my opinion.
And so thank you, Art, for your insights. We appreciate it. I just want to ask the panel real quickly, what do you think the outcome of the trial is going to be? Dee Dee, let's start with you.
Well, there's a difference between negligence and gross negligence. And BP has already paid $24 billion to try to clean things up and to also go to the organization that President Obama put together. This is an outside organization. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know. Whenever there's a lot of money sitting there, a lot of people want to try to get it. And it sounds like it's sort of an Earth Day thing. We want to be, thoughtful about the environment. But that doesn't mean you sue for more money for BP. So I just think this is getting too litigious, actually.
All right, interesting perspective. What do you think, Yohuru?
Well, I'm torn because in some sense I recognize there has to be some kind of cap on what BP is going to be forced to pay, but we have to look at the long-term impact of this damage on that region. We look at the Exxon Valdez and what that did, the devastation that wrought in Alaska, and so we're still dealing with the residual impacts of that. So the idea that this is going to be over at some point, you understand it from a legal standpoint, there has to be a cap, but at the same time,
but
you
you sue on speculation now. That's what these people seem to be doing. They're suing on speculation.
You think it's speculation?
I don't think it's speculation.
Absolutely, because you don't know. They say, well, there may be health issues, there may be a problem with the ecosystem. Well, you don't know that, so you can't sue.
Really? You don't, I mean, you disagree with that, right?
Well, of course, we know from looking at other disasters, so we know very clearly what the
there's
long-term impacts.
It's
Exactly.
not clear.
Yeah.
It's not clear. There's
And
nothing
particularly in the Gulf, in terms of that, the ecosystem itself, I think it points to far more devastating consequences because the Exxon Valdez and some of the others were far more contained.
Okay.
Well, understood. But I still think it's speculation, and that's why I think that they're not going to win the case.
Interesting, Dee Dee. We have just a minute left, so let's get a final word just in general. And I hope you disagree with Dee Dee.
I do. The New York suit that's New York has proposed, I don't think that's going to be successful.
They're suing BP, right?
$39 billion, essentially for the drop in stock. Don't think that's going to work, but I hope that you see real justice in the Gulf. I think there needs to be a long-term solution. BP has been very successful at doing commercials, talking about their commitment to the Gulf. Let's see some real commitment. Let's address the issues that Art brought up.
I think more needs to have been done so far. Art, final thought, final word real quickly.
There's no cap. There's no cap on 11 lives that have been lost. There's no cap that you can place in dollar amounts when 11 people died and the griefs of their families and 17 people injured. And there's no cap on $146 billion seafood industry that was lost.
Right.
$50 billion in cash economy. And there's no cap on those situations. And there's no cap on 4.9 million barrels of oil spewing out over the Gulf into our waterways.
You can't argue with the numbers. Real quickly, Dee Dee, how do you respond to that?
Well, you do cap it because it's by law. You're going to cap it. They've already spent $24 billion, and the lawsuit's not going to go their way.
All right, well, we shall see what will happen. Thanks, guys, for your insight, and thanks to ArtR. When we return to Fresh Outlook, we're remembering Richie Havens. We're changing gears. He was a musician and a social activist. Stay with us.